Hello! Today's tutorial will be a simple shooter. We are going to create a simple shooter by making use of the tutorials that we did in the past. The tutorials that we are going to be using is the enemy AI and the first person controller. We are going to modify the classes that we have written in these tutorials in order to create our very simple shooter game. It will give you a head start in creating your very own complex shooter, but for now we will stick to the basics. For this tutorial, we will be creating a very simple game in which the enemies can hit us when they shoot at us. And if they hit us, we will lose some health. We can also hit the enemies, and if we manage to kill them, we will get some points as a reward. In order for our enemy and the player to shoot, we will have to create guns. We will do this by creating a simple box, and we will remove the box collider. At the end of the barrel we can place a game object, and this game object will be the bullet spawn from where actually the bullets will shoot. The gun from the player will be positioned a little bit nice in the view of the camera. Since we are using first person camera, we will have to keep an eye on the game view in order to know when it feels good. In order for our game to show the amount of HP that we have left, as well as our current score, we will need to use the canvas. Within the canvas, you will see various components. One that is very important is the canvas scaler. This means that whenever the screen gets resized, that the items in the UI will get resized accordingly as well. Now we are going to use TextMesh Pro. Make sure to import the TextMesh Pro Essentials or the TMP Essentials. When you're creating canvas items, such as the text, you can edit the rect transform by uh, moving the pivot point and by setting the position. After that, you can update the coordinates. Since the score and the HP will be our only UI components for now, we can use the text variants in order to have them visually on the screen. We're going to create a prefabs folder in which we will create our first prefab named Bullet. This bullet is simply just a sphere with a rigid body on it. Make sure to disable gravity when editing the rigid body for this to work properly. The first class that we are going to create is actually an interface and it's named IDamagable. We are going to implement this interface on everything that can receive damage. This makes it so that we don't have to know what we are damaging in order to pass damage. Next up, we are going to create a class named GameManager. This class will have a reference to the score text object that we created in the UI, and it will also have a public method through which we can update the score. We will access this method from any enemy or maybe even other objects that will have to update the score, or rather give the player points whenever it gets destroyed. The next class that we are going to create is Entity Stats. Entity Stats will be very straightforward. It will contain the statistics of our entity, and an entity can be just an enemy. It will have the amount of health it has, as well as the score it will give. This class will implement the IDamagable interface, and you will see how easy it is to actually implement it. We are going to use a very dirty method of updating our score. We are going to find the game manager by searching for the tag game controller. We are going to set this in a second. And we are going to get a component game manager in order to access the method in there. Create a new empty game object named game manager. Assign the tag game controller. This is the default tag in Unity. And add a class game manager to it. Make sure to set the settings as well. Next up, we are going to create the bullet class. This will be a very simple script which will simply just delete itself when it collides with anything, and it will give damage if the collision has a damageable interface on it. After that, add the bullet class to the bullet prefab. We're going to edit our enemy AI from the previous tutorial to make it shoot bullets instead of spamming attack. We are doing this by instantiating the bullet prefab and then by adding force to the rigid body it has. Since the bullet has no gravity, we can add force so that it will shoot in a straight line. After that, simply just set the new settings in the inspector. We will edit the player controller in a similar fashion. However, as an extra, we are going to add health to the player as well as the IDamagable interface. This IDamagable interface will be implemented in the same way as it is in Entity Stats. The shooting logic of the player will be very similar to the enemy AI. In order to shoot bullets, we will simply check with the input mouse button. Update your player settings with the new things that we added, and add more enemies to your area. You can change the statistics of each enemy to have a little bit of diversity going on, and afterwards you can test to see the final product working. Thank you for watching this tutorial, I appreciate it. I hope that you learned a thing or two, and hopefully it will help you in your game development journey. See you in the next one, bye bye!